morning, everybody. Falcon Fixer has returned. Woo! Holy shit. It has been way too long, dudes. Oh my god. I legitimately needed this so bad. Whew. I've been off the bike for probably close to I don't even know. At least a week at a minimum. Wow. Make a fucking choice, dude. You either speed up or you slow down. One of the two. Don't fucking pull out like that. I'm definitely leaving that shit in. Normally, I just kind of cut my fucking neighbors that do that, but that was stupid. Yes, I could have made a different decision there, and it probably wouldn't have been as risky, but that guy legitimately, I got to that stage where it's like, okay, he's not fucking moving. I need to make a decision to either get around him or just stop. And I chose to fucking just go, because quite frankly, that was ridiculous. I've never seen somebody do something that blatantly stupid. Not in my neighborhood. All right, well, as you can see, we actually have the phone out and we're actually GPSing our way out of here. And that's primarily because I'm going somewhere I haven't ever been before, so I kind of want to make sure that I actually get the right position or right place. So we're going to Imperial Sport Bike today, primarily because I want to go check out Aprilia. I got this wild hair up my ass talking to a coworker and his Tuono V4 to go and actually just check out all of what they do have. Something that's been sticking in my mind ever since I hit the first service on this thing. As you can tell, we're over the first service by quite a margin now. At least enough that I don't feel bad about hitting higher revs in the motor. Well, that's... Huh. That was interesting. So, let me just talk you through what just happened there. I feathered out the clutch like I always do on the slipper clutch. I added gas. And the bike legitimately just was in limp mode on the throttle. I couldn't get it to go. It was almost like traction control was just completely on. That was interesting. I've never had it happen before. But in fairness to the bike, that was the first time I've actually hit that bump on the brakes quite as aggressively as I did. And that's the first time I've actually felt the ABS pulse through the fucking gear lever. So, I don't know. Maybe it's just... I mean, it is 55 degrees outside, and I am on, Pirelli Corsas. I don't know, maybe the tires are just cold, and I was being a little too aggressive. So, I hit that break-in mile point. The hilarious part is, once I hit that point, I started hitting 11,000 RPM, so I'm, still too shy of, top out this motor. Not by much, but I mean, I'm still a little shy of it. But I was so underwhelmed with the amount of power this thing was kicking out. When you compare the Gixxer to this bike, the Gixxer, I mean, when you hit that high RPM, that thing literally wants to wheelie. This doesn't really want to do that. It wants to take off, but not in the same way. See what I mean? It takes off, but it's still so manageable that it's it's not that crazy. That was all the way out there. And that was really rapping on the throttle too, with full power engaged. So, yeah, I don't know, dude. I like the amount of power this thing has, but I want more. And I think the problem is just our elevation. That's ultimately what it really comes down to. So, where I live specifically, and most of the state, is all over a mile high, 5,280 feet. So we have a density altitude problem out here in terms of air that's just not beneficial. And what that ultimately means is that we're losing roughly around 3% for every 1,000 feet of power. So that means this bike, which normally puts out like 147 horse, if you look at the dynograph for this bike, it'll hit like 147 horsepower-ish, around close to like 12 and a half, something like that. It's a very linear power curve. But the problem is at this altitude with the 30% loss, because if you do the math, it's roughly around 30% in terms of power that we lose. Because the dynos around here correct by like as much as 1.2 or 1.3 on the SAE scale for the elevation. We're literally losing like, I don't know, probably close to 30 or almost, freaking 40 horsepower at this elevation. Which, by the way, here we go. So this is GPS verified. I'm doing just under the speed limit. And the cruise control is set. See what I mean? Like, this doesn't make sense. We're 10 miles an hour off, roughly, at this stage. So I'm doing the right thing. I'm actually getting more comfortable with like what speed is what on this bike. Whereas we get people like this where the speed limit just doesn't matter. So, any cops that like to watch my channel, just so you're aware, I am a good person. I try to be. There are tons of people in the state that just don't give a fuck. And I don't want to lose my license, so apparently that's not the cool thing to do. But what do I know, right? So anyway, we're losing like, I don't know, 30 horsepower at this elevation. I don't know, my math's probably all fucked up, but regardless, this bike is really pushing more like 115 or 120 on a good day at this elevation. And I can fucking feel it. Like, this bike, it takes off and it goes, but it doesn't go in the same way that I expected it to. And maybe that's just my fault. Like, I've been out in this state for over 30 years. I should know better, especially with a naturally aspirated motor, that they just don't make the same kind of power that they would at sea level or close to it. So I think realistically what I should be doing is looking at bikes that are significantly faster than what I would normally be comfortable with, just to get the same kind of thrill and power that I'm looking for. Especially considering I've had multiple bikes and I've ridden multiple bikes now that are in this power class. So, I don't know, maybe I'm just like, I'm so comfortable with this power class now that it's boring. That's kind of a shitty way to put it, but I mean, I briefly considered like the new RC8 replacement. I don't know, RC990 or whatever the hell it's called. I briefly considered that just because of what the power numbers were and the weight figures. I'm like, okay, that's a pretty serious bike compared to like the V2 or the R9. But then I thought about it and I'm like, dude, that's a step down from what I already have. So it's like, why would I do that? Don't get me wrong, I love MV Agusta, I love this bike, even if it is a quirky son of a bitch, and it has very weird Italian things. But I mean, almost every Italian bike is going to be like this. Maybe not Ducati, but they're all just a little Italian in terms of how they do things and how they respond to shit. So, I don't know. My opinion, I need something with more balls. So, anyway, that brings me back to the Tuono and talking about Aprilia. And actually talking with a couple of Italian guys online. I guess, like, Ducati is not nearly what it used to be out in Italy. It's almost kind of like the Volkswagen of the high-end sport bike out there, because everybody fucking has one. Which is not a terrible thing, but not a great thing either. You know, you kind of want something a little exclusive. And in my opinion, Aprilia is still kind of sort of exclusive in that sense that there's not that many people that really have them. And the people that do have them absolutely love them. So that's why I want to give the Tuono another shot. I think the reason I dismissed it before was just because I wasn't really in the headspace to be looking at like a semi-naked or a naked bike at the time. And now that I am, I want to consider it more carefully just because the fucking the Street Fighter V4 is so much more expensive, and it's basically like on the same frickin' scale as, you know, the Tuono V4 in terms of power class. Not quite the same power output, but, you know, it's in that same realm of like, this is what you should be expecting for this kind of money. And that's what I don't understand about the Street Fighter V4, especially the standard Street Fighter V4, is like, why the fuck is it so much more expensive than the Tuono V4 factory? The Tuono V4 factory is more closely related to the V4S. It doesn't have the EC3, I mean, granted, but it's literally on the same class, more or less. Yes, it has more fairings, but it's the closest competition, at least for the Italian bikes, without going to like the MV Agusta Brutale 1000. And the Brutale 1000, I have a feeling, is probably going to be replaced here shortly. A different engine, potentially. I know that they're getting ready to release the 950 Evo, at least more details on that. The little bits that I've seen of that bike in terms of like the testing mules and the prototypes suggest that it's a very, very capable bike. Significantly more power than what's already out there. It's still not perfect because they obviously still haven't like really set their targets. Or maybe they have and they just haven't really said anything. I don't know, I got a wild hair up my ass to go give the Tuono another shot, because when I was sitting on it the first time, I didn't really love the ergos on it. But then again, I was sitting on the standard Tuono, not even the factory. And I think that might have been part of the reason why I didn't like it. So I want to sit on them back to back and just kind of get a better sense of like, okay, you know, do I even really want to consider this any further, or do I just want to wait and see what MV Agusta releases with this 950 Evo motor on the Brutale and give MV, you know, the benefit of the doubt of producing a little beefier motor in the triple category that might be more along the lines of what I really wanted, at least power-wise. Because I think that's my biggest bitch with the Street Fighter, is it's like 200 horsepower, so it's already, you know, well, north of 200. So it's already a 50 or 60 horsepower bump over this. Whereas the Tuono is still in the 160, 170-ish range, maybe even 180, I guess, which I think is probably closer to like what I'm really looking for. You know, not necessarily up over the 200 range, but something a little closer to that category where it's kind of a good in-between. That, and I would really like to have a 4-cylinder again. Don't get me wrong, I like the triples. They are one of my favorite engines. Something's sticking with me with the guy that I talked to here not that long ago about triple engines. And the triples themselves are great motors, but they just buzz a little bit too much for my liking. Which actually brings up a good point, because there was a naked bike comparison, like a Hypersport comparison from Fast Bikes on YouTube that I just watched here recently. And I gotta be honest, their fucking road test made like no sense to me whatsoever. You guys will have to check it out, but literally like the basis that they came up, the conclusion that they came to was that the M1000, which is like a $30,000 some odd dollar frickin' naked Hypersport, is the best road bike compared to the Hornet 1000, the MT10, the Tuono V4 factory, the Speed Triple RX, like a bunch of bikes that clearly are better value propositions than the fucking M1000 is. And the hilarious part is they actually all griped about how buzzy the M1000 is, how that motor is just not very smooth. And it's like, well, why the fuck did you place it so high in the rankings then? Like, their conclusions on all the bikes literally just didn't make any fucking sense to me. And a lot of people in the comments were echoing the same thing. It's like, what are you doing, guys? Like, this doesn't make any sense. And they didn't even put the Street Fighter in there, so they couldn't even conduct a real proper test. Not to mention they were missing a couple other 1000 series bikes, like, you know, the Gixxus. And I think it's the first proper, like, Hypersport Comparo that's been done this year. I haven't really seen another one other than the one that 1000 PS came out with, and even that one was still kind of questionable in my mind. Like, don't get me wrong, those guys are usually pretty accurate and they actually come up with some pretty good conclusions, but I felt like their review didn't make a whole lot of sense either. Their conclusions on the different bikes on the road versus the track, I don't know, it just didn't make sense to me. Maybe it's because we're Americans and they just, you know, we don't agree with everybody from Europe and the way that they do their reviews. Back to the Street Fighter. So, a video that I recorded here about, I don't know, a week or two ago, that probably isn't going to make it onto the channel because I've had some time to think about it, and I wasn't even sure if I was actually going to post any of it, because those two videos were just kind of shit, in my opinion. They were a total waste of time, to be honest. During my service, that I was actually, I was looking at all the Street Fighters back to back that were over at Faye Myers. So I got to really look at, like, you know, the old V2 Street Fighter, the new V2 Street Fighter, the old V4 Street Fighter, and the new V4 Street Fighter. So I got all of them back to back in terms of, like, sitting and checking out, like, the ergonomics, at least, in a sitting environment. And the one conclusion I came to is that the new Street Fighter V4 is definitely the most comfortable between the two new ones. The new V2 has this weird, like, piece that's, like, right next to my knee that, like, juts out almost like a spur. And it literally just sits, like, in the crease of my knee where my calf and my joint is. And it is the most uncomfortable thing I think I've ever experienced, even statically. Like, it's terrible. But then you get on the new Street Fighter V4, and it's not even there. It's not, like, that piece isn't even there. So it doesn't make sense. It's like, why did you do this? And I guess that's one of the biggest complaints of all the new Street Fighter V2 owners, or at least the people that have tested them, and why we don't see more about that bike beyond, you know, the stupid reviews that they did out in Spain from, like, 8 different freaking motorcycle review magazines and channels, is that stupid freaking piece has literally led a bunch of people to either get rid of their V2 almost immediately or just not even purchase it at all. Whereas on the Panigale V2, the new one, it doesn't even exist. Like, that piece, like, it's not even a thing on the Panigale. So I don't know what the hell Ducati did on the Street Fighter, but they need to figure that out real quick. Otherwise, the V2 for the Street Fighter is just going to struggle, in my opinion. They need to get rid of that thing. That little pop-out. Again, the new V4, super comfortable. I love the ergos on it. I just don't really agree with the price tag on it, especially when you consider what else is out there in the category. It's not that I can't afford it, it's just that I don't really want to spend that money if I don't have to. As much as I'd love to have a Ducati in my life, I don't want to sacrifice money for no reason if I can do better for less, if that makes sense, and still keep it Italian. I gotta be honest, I love the Italian bikes. I don't really want to go back to a Japanese bike, and I could care less about what Triumph is building these days, especially considering how unreliable their engines are in terms of, like, maintaining oil leaks and that sort of thing. But yeah, the older V2s and the older V4s, after sitting on both of those, it's weird because the old V2 is actually more comfortable than the old V4 for the Street Fighter. Like, I don't know what it is about the ergonomics between those two bikes from, like, the same generation. We're talking, you know, 2024 versus 25 and back. I don't know what it is, but for whatever stupid reason, the ergos on the V2 are just superior to the V4. At least for me anyway. The V4, it feels weird. It's almost like there's no tank in front of you. And the knee position on it, at least for me, just feels really awkward. It's not that there's anything like jutting into me like, you know, the new V2. It's just not comfortable. Like, the balance doesn't seem right. That kind of wrote off the old V4 almost immediately just because I didn't really agree with the ergonomics there. And I wrote off the old V2. So I'm in this weird position where I really like the new V4 and I do like the old V2. But the one thing that scares me off of the new V4 is the price, number one. And number two, the one thing that scares me off of the old V2 have hesitations about the older V2 engine, the Super Quattro. And it's primarily due to everything that I've read about the fueling and how, like, just not happy that bike is to do slower speed. Like, this thing, I'm doing 27 miles an hour right now, and it doesn't mind it. Like, this bike loves doing slower speeds because it's balanced enough. So again, it kind of brings back this weird position that I'm in with all these naked bikes, just trying to find something that I'm comfortable with at least sitting on, and also finding more power that I can use every day in all different types of riding conditions without hating life. I don't know, because right now I'm not hating life on this bike, but I'm also not loving it. It's just not the most comfortable machine to be on every day. And I'd really rather have something I can ride like every single day. This bike was never really meant for that, despite all of my tries to make that happen. But don't get me wrong, I love this bike. It's great for what it is. It's fantastic, and it is reasonably comfortable for the kind of bike it is. It's just not quite the same as what I was expecting it to be. And I don't know, I guess my age caught up with me faster than I thought it would, which is kind of weird. All right, guys. Well, here we are on my first V4. So this should be interesting. Throttle's fairly quick. Throttle's a little on-offy, but I'm sure that's probably settings related shit that can probably just get ironed out. So this is a 2026 Aprilia RSV4 factory, well, Tuono V4 factory, not RSV4, because I'm stupid and don't really know Aprilias that well. But what I can tell you is that this bike is officially the first one that I've ridden where I actually feel like the mirrors don't suck. So that's cool. Handlebars buzz just a little bit, not too awful bad. Ooh, that's an interesting quick shifter. It's like butter. It's a very interesting bike. Kind of feels like I'm up on it rather than in it. And the wind is kind of hitting me. I mean, obviously I'm not doing any real speed, but the wind is kind of hitting me like right about my throat almost, on my shoulders. And I'm sure that's all down to the fact that it's got like this screen/fairing thing. All right, so this is the loop that he more or less suggested that I use. Just basically making loops around this fucking spot where you just kind of go back and forth, twisties and that kind of thing, just to kind of get a feel for it. It's not much of a test ride loop, but he did suggest a couple spots that I could do to really kind of open it up a little bit more. Power is set to 2 in terms of response. It is in sport mode, but he like kind of messed with the settings a little bit. Honestly, it's fairly docile at these kind of speeds. It's not too bad. Let me go back down to like 25 here and see how the throttling feels. It's a little on-offy. I'm sure there's a little bit of settings management that we could do to kind of change things up a bit. I will say this bike, in terms of like looks, at least looking down on it, it looks very cheap. Clutch is okay. It's actually a little smoother engagement than the clutch that's on my F3. Weight is very good. It's not too awful bad. It handles really well. It's nice and light. For being a big V4, it's actually really easy to shift around. I mean, look at this. It's not bad at all. Okay, yeah, this has definitely got the balls I was looking for. Holy shit, all right. Well, there's my first tickle of what this bike is really about. So it does have a pipe on it. It's a Leo Vince pipe, but it doesn't have any tuning. So I'm sure that probably has something to do with the fact of like how this thing is reacting right now. That it just isn't as smooth as it could be. I think he said it's decatted, which makes it all the worse that it doesn't have a proper tune. Because if it did, it'd probably be even better. And I'm still, like, I'm doing this fucking chicken wing thing, like, and I don't even need to do it. It's hilarious. I probably look ridiculous doing it. I already feel ridiculous when I do it on the F3R, but that just makes it even more hilarious to me. All right, one more loop on here, and then I think I want to stretch it out a little more. So what do I think so far? The seating position on the factory is actually pretty nice. I actually like the bend. I like the way it sits. It doesn't feel awkward at all. It doesn't feel alien to me. And it doesn't feel crampy. It is a little tight, but coming off the F3R, it's not all that different in terms of leg bend. It's actually very manageable. See, down here at like 20 miles an hour, it definitely feels a little choppy. Oh man, that was only to 10. Woo! Yeah, this has definitely got some balls. Oh, I like it. This has got some fucking meat. Oh, this is a great bike. And it's very comfortable. I will say that. I was kind of, I think the problem is, like, I sat on the standard Tuono V4, not even the factory. I think my biggest complaint with that bike, it's not a very comfortable seating position compared to this. And I know that makes no sense given the fact that the standard one is supposedly more comfortable, or it's supposed to be. It's more tour-ish or city use than the factory is. But I gotta be honest, like, the seating position on this is actually very nice. And the bar position's really good too, especially for my height. I like it. And I love the motor so far. So he was telling me that they are the largest Aprilia dealer in the US in terms of volume. I guess AF1 is second to them, which that's a great thing to know, considering the fact that I know Aprilia is definitely not on the same level as Ducati for parts. So here's the weird part, and you guys are gonna laugh at me in the comments, I guarantee it. I actually really like how this thing reacts for the switchgear. The switchgear is so nice compared to the F3. Yes, it seems a little cheaper. I don't know, everything about this bike just feels a little cheaper in terms of build. But I think given the fact that this bike is what it is for the price point, I'm actually kind of impressed with it more than anything. Just because I know that all this stuff can get changed for relatively cheap. All right, so he did say that we should do this and go on 6 to WODs and then WODs like back. So we're gonna try that. Here, 208 according to this. Shifts into neutral, okay. 210. It's a 50-ish, 55, almost 60 degree day today. Temperature is actually very reasonable. And the puppy is not very happy that we exist. What a bummer. I like you, puppy. I'm sorry you're mad that I exist, though. I mean, at the end of the day, this is a V4, right? So we need to be realistic about how hot this thing is going to get. And I have no doubt that it's going to get hot, right? Because it doesn't have cylinder deactivation like the Ducatis do. This thing definitely drinks gas, though, and that's part of the reason why I'm not just hammering the shit out of it. He said that I have plenty of gas, but realistically, it doesn't feel like it. Especially when it's showing me I got 1 bar, and I know that this thing drinks gas like a pig, especially if you're having fun on it. So I may end up just stopping just to top it up for him, just as kind of a thank you. I know they didn't ask for it, but, you know, I'd rather have some fuel to actually play on this thing a little bit before I give it back. So now that we're kind of doing highway speed-ish, what do I think of it? The wind is actually very reasonable, which is great. The power is amazing. It's exactly what I was kind of hoping for. The throttle's a little twitchy, but I'm sure that that has less to do with the bike and more to do with settings. That and the fact that it's got some, you know, Leo Vince pipe on it that needs proper tuning to be a proper machine again. But overall, I'm very impressed with it. It's very comfortable for what it is. It's a little buzzy in the hands, not too awful bad. I think realistically that could probably get fixed with a little bit of tweaking. The seating position's very comfortable. The leg bend is aggressive, but not too bad. And again, I'm 6'3", so take that for what you will. I'm like closer to 250 than I am 240 right now because it's winter and I suck and I need to actually work out some more. But yeah, this has got plenty of power. It's fun. This is a very welcome machine compared to the F3. I like it a lot. I think I may have taken the wrong exit. I probably should have taken the Cloverleaf. So that's a mistake on my part. But I do know there's a gas station up here, so at least I can use that as my excuse. Tell you the truth, now that I think about it, I should probably go back the other side of 6th and get gas over there. Would make much more sense. Ooh, this is a prime opportunity for a fucking U-turn. Okay, not full lock, but reasonable. There is not a whole lot of movement in this headstock. I feel like I'm using like 1/8 of this bike's actual performance, but even so, it's so smooth. Man, if the new Street Fighter is anything like this or better, God help me. Because this is great. It's so fucking comfortable. So this is a problem. This is a definite problem now because I actually legitimately like this bike enough that I would buy it. Yeah, definitely doesn't like second lugging, which makes sense considering how much power and how this thing is geared. Needs to be in the right gear. It's not too awful bad though. I have a pretty light grip on this thing, I will say. Hands are starting to get a little numb. Not too bad though. That could be more just me than anything, honestly. I just don't have my riding hands back under me. But yeah, slow speed, not too bad at all. Very manageable. I will say the shifter is kind of loosey-goosey a little bit. That could just be down to the fact this is a demo bike, and it just needs a little bit of massaging to get back to normal. But yeah, I'm pleasantly impressed and surprised by this thing. It's so nice. Tell you what, I am starting to really feel the heat around this motor. In 90-degree days, that's gonna suck. There's a little bit of heat in my ass in the seat. Not too bad, though. Doesn't feel like I'm going to roast myself. This thing definitely prefers to be moving. Let's put it that way. Red line on this thing looks like 12.5 or thereabouts, which isn't bad considering what I'm coming from and the fact that I got damn near close to red line. I keep looking for a gas station. I keep thinking there's going to be one up here, and I'm failing. This is not good. Yeah, I will say I'd like to try this thing with the full beans, but he said that that's more of a throttle mapping thing than it is an actual power map. I don't know that for certain, so we'll just leave it as is, honestly. It's fine. It's got plenty of get up and go. It's not a slow bike by any means. The mirrors don't buzz too awful much, which is good. There's plenty of visibility. I really didn't even need to adjust them, honestly. So I don't know who rode this before me, but hey, you got it set up pretty good. Maybe riser bar attachments for this, but I gotta be honest, the position's really not bad at all. It's not too aggressive. And the stop and go city traffic, even though today is really not that warm of a day, it's still very, very comfortable. It's not like I'm just getting bathed in heat. This thing sounds incredible. Considering I've got my helmet on, obviously, and earplugs, this is pretty damn good. It's just so fucking smooth. Okay, now it's at 216. I am just now starting to feel the inner side of my knee getting warm at a stop, which honestly tells me that during the summer, this will be pretty reasonable, all things considered. Okay, let's get some gas in this thing. Okay. So, we put in about 10 bucks worth, so based on the math, because it was $1 more expensive for premium, we put in about 3.4 gallons. So we got a full tank. I'm sure they'll be thrilled with that. I would like to rip it down this road. Unfortunately, we're in a part of Denver that they just do not fucking screw around with speed, especially nowadays. So the area that we're in is more like Jefferson County-ish, I think. And those guys they are no fucking joke in this area. They like to refer to themselves as agents, not officers. So you either call them sir or you call them agent, otherwise they get mad. I'm not even kidding you. That is a real thing in this area, and it's fucking hilarious to me. We're intentionally going back the way that we came, just because I want that stretch to get back to the dealership to really open this thing up getting on the highway. Well, throughway, whatever we want to call it. It's not really a highway per se, as it's more of a connecting spine that just like divides from Denver all the way across to the major highway system. So anyway, this thing kind of like puked, or vented, I should say, when I opened up the gas tank, which I guess is normal for most of these bikes nowadays. But I will say that does give me a little bit of pause, because I know that the tank on these is known to swell. So I don't know if they fixed that for 26 or not, but based on how much pressure this thing released when I opened it, something to keep in mind. Have I ridden bikes similar to this? I gotta be honest, trying to think off the top of my head, the last bike that I rode that had this kind of power, and I gotta be honest, I don't think I ever really have. So that should kind of tell you how easy it was for me to get used to this. At least for a ride, right? If you have a sensible wrist, and you've been riding, middle weights or upper middle weights for a while, this is not going to be overkill. It's a lot of power for the street, but if you're sensible with it, it's fine. Like, yes, I do have altitude restricting how much power I'm actually getting versus somebody down near sea level, But that said, I mean, I would almost argue the jump from where I'm currently at to this, even at sea level, wouldn't be that much of a shock to somebody that's on a bike like I have now with similar power. This is a heavier bike, no doubt there. It's probably about, I don't know, 30 or 40 pounds heavier than my current bike. But it definitely doesn't feel like it. It's very nice and nimble. It's got plenty of stability to it. Doesn't feel like it's just going to topple over, but it also doesn't feel like it's just going to fall over into a corner like my current bike does. My current bike does that like every single time I look at a corner, it just wants to fall into it. Kind of like the old Daytona did from Triumph before they fucking killed it. It's a good looking machine too. I don't really love the fact that it doesn't have a belly pan on it. It's all just exposed down there. It's okay. I mean, I know that they sell that part now, so it's not that hard to get that covered up. But it does good look. It does look good. I gotta be honest, when I first looked at it, when I first got there, I was a little underwhelmed by it, just because it looked like a very small bike. But I gotta be honest, sitting on it now and experiencing it, it doesn't feel that way. Not even a little bit. This on-ramp section right here, by the way, is like one of the worst. I don't know how many times they fixed it, but it always falls apart during the winter. Holy shit! Woo! Oh my god! That's fucking great! Woo! Oh man! Oh, I'm awake now! Holy shit! That was fantastic. God damn. Okay, let's figure our life out here for a second. Whew. Alright, so we're in 6th gear, doing about 75. The wind is a little more into my helmet now, especially now that this car is out of my way. It's not too awful bad. It's definitely not quite like a sport bike in that sense, but it's not bad. It's very reasonable in terms of wind protection for a semi-naked bike. And it's just over $5,000 in the revs, which is very reasonable for this speed, considering it goes all the way to fucking 14 basically. Well, 12 and a half, but you know what I'm getting at. Oh my god, my heart is like pumping right now. This thing fucking just takes off. I love it. So much power. Woo! Fuck, this thing loves to run. I don't even think I got near redline, to be honest. I probably was short shifting it a little bit. But then again, I mean, I'm not used to the bike totally yet. Oh my god. Whew. I'm awake. Woo! This thing is fantastic. Chef's kiss. Ugh. It's so much fun. Holy fuck, this thing just goes. Whew. So much fun. It sounds great. It fucking takes off like a rocket. It's comfortable. It's got decent wind protection. I don't know what else I could really ask for, especially for the money. This is fucking great. God damn. I am loving it. So much fun. I need this in my life. This is plenty of power. You don't need more than this. This is just fun. I can't stop laughing and smiling right now. Getting back on my F3 is going to feel like such a downgrade after this. That sucks. I'd love to look more into the settings and see if I really had this thing at full tilt, because you don't need more than that. It's just perfect. Don't get me wrong, I love my F3R. It's a beautiful bike, but Jesus Christ, this thing is fucking amazing. To everybody that owns an Aprilia or has ridden one of these, I totally get it now. Like, I just totally get it. You guys... what the fuck was I thinking, just not even considering this from the get-go? What a brilliant machine. Oh, yep,